Hey crafty babes, it's Andrea. I'm excited to share a project with you today. I have not done a process video in forever and I might be a little rusty, but we're gonna get through this. I wanted to share a little bit of what I would typically do in a layout when I'm using magazine printables, and I've got set aside here some die cuts, some things that I want to use, and I want to document all of the decorations I put up on November 1st. So I usually will start off my December album with decoration. It's typically the first thing that's going to happen. It's typically going to happen before December even starts, and it's just a great way to kind of open up the album or the book or whatever it is that you're using. It's just typically what I love to do. So we're going to make a massive 2-page grid layout, and it's going to be a mix of 3x4 pictures and cards, smaller versions of photos, which are, I think they're around 1 3/4 by 2.5, something like that. And I do want to try to fit in this large full-page photo, but it's not going to be part of this 2-page spread, and we'll see how I incorporate that picture toward the end of the video. So we've got photos are cut out. I'm working out where I'm going to put this photo. I think what I had in mind was that it would have a big title at the bottom, and it would kind of like be the section starter, if you will. That's magazine lingo. And so I'm kind of happy with at least trying to include it and then working on this 2-page spread in my notebook. I always like to use the larger pieces to kind of anchor where everything else is going to fit around, because you don't want to try to put the tiny pieces in first and then try to fit the larger pieces. And then the other thing I like to try to do is layer things on top of others. Like I put that heart on top of the little library card, and I'm just trying to see where things fit. The way that I work these kinds of layouts is basically like a puzzle or like a mosaic. So, you know, when you start with the larger things, you can fill in all the smaller stuff. And I'm being very conscientious of how much pattern is in each photo and not getting too much of like the black and white buffalo plaid on the right hand side, and spreading the colors. I even just flipped that 3 for 8 cents thing on its side so that it fit better there, because I didn't want, where I just put that heart, I didn't want that photo and those things to be nudged up against the left. So I wanted some room there. And now I'm just going to punch out a little bit of these corners, see where I can put these. Some things are going to change. And so that's why I don't start gluing just yet. I'm really observing. I'm looking for certain things. I'm looking for patterns. So right now I'm seeing that there's too much buffalo plaid on the right hand side, like I mentioned earlier. And I'm also looking for whether or not I can add anything, or if there's just, you know, too much of one color or pattern clustered up together. And I also am thinking about the items that I placed down. Now, the record player, the turntable there, is not really relevant to these photos, and I kind of wanted to use it in a different place. So I'm just... I'm sitting here pondering, and I'm keeping a lot of this downtime in the video for you, just because I don't want you to think that I can just pop things down and it all happens magically. Like, it just doesn't. And I also realized I hadn't used any of the 3x4 cards, and I just wanted to audition a few and see what felt right for the colors and for what's actually happening. This is all my decoration. So these are all my little clusters and vignettes of Christmas decor, my fireplace, my tree. So this Get Lit 3x4 card from issue number 21 is the perfect fit. It goes great with that library card up on the left. And there's already a tree. It's, you know, there's a picture of a tree, there's a die cut of a tree, now there's a card of a tree. It's like we're kind of going all in. And moving that made it so that the little ticket and leaf cluster didn't really work coming off the side of that right photo. So I'm clustering it behind this little vintage piece, and I'm taking it over to my sewing machine, and I'm going to stitch that all together. You're going to see me go off camera quite a bit with this layout because I do stitch a bit. And you can just see I just stitched right across the top so that those things got adhered to the Merry Christmas little sleigh card. And now I kind of fuss a little bit with just making sure that things are all in the right place. And I'm thinking also about what else I want to do. And this is where I make I'm making commitments. We're going for it. Everything feels good. When you see me take this one off, I'm also going to stitch that heart to that card. And, this one got a vertical stitch, which is always fun. I like to mix up the stitching direction every now and then. And then, yeah, we're just gluing. And if you are someone who's watched my videos for years, you will see I have made the switch from glue stick to tape runner. I am now a tape runner girl. It happened. And I'm actually pretty happy with it. Yeah, I was thinking there would be something else I could do to that card, and I just went over and stitched along the top and the bottom of it just to give it a little bit of texture and make it kind of feel like it fit with the rest of the stitching that was going on. And when I get to the right-hand page, I realize that I didn't really layer a ton of things together, and so there's not going to be that same amount of texture. I try to even that out. For whatever reason, sometimes I get too cluster happy on one side and then I don't on the other side. And it's kind of something that I really want to get better about, being a little bit more balanced. And as soon as I adhered that card, I wished that I had stitched around all 4 edges. And, you know, you just kind of have to live with stuff, and it's all good. But I did notice that there was a little too much buffalo plaid with that heart and then with the photo. So I just flipped it and then put the stockings in the middle, which did help balance out the color a bit and the ephemera versus photos. So I'll stitch these 2 hearts together. And then the other thing I'm going to stitch is the tops of the stockings. But first, I have to add a label. It's just a must. It's a must. And you can see these are very basic supplies that are in every issue of Retro Hit magazine. The labels, the hearts, they just kind of go with everything every time. It's like you don't really need any specific theme in order to use a heart or a label. So they're really versatile, and they can be used for just layering. I could have made it a little bit higher and moved the hearts down a bit and stamped on that label. There's a lot of things that you can do with labels. So just don't think that they're one-dimensional. And speaking of dimension, you can also put a pop dot underneath them or some foam tape and pop them up. Make them a little bit more dimensional. Whatever you want to do with them, they're super cool. It just adds a little bit of extra color up there. I was a little concerned that there wasn't enough of the light teal color, like over there on the left-hand side, there's the heart. So that I wanted to just make sure that there was enough of that color floating around. And then I did stitch the tops of the stockings, and now I'm going to adhere the very final card, or actually photo. I stitched on that. Did I stitch on that? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I stitched on that tab, because again, I wanted to just give it a little bit of texture and look. I wanted it to look like it was stitched onto the page, But with these notebooks, you kind of have to fake it. I mean, I could totally run that page through my sewing machine. It just gets a little cumbersome. I could do it. And so just stitching on the actual piece, like the die cut before you glue it down, gives it that illusion that you've truly stitched it. So that's always fun. And then I did a little journaling about how I love to decorate for Christmas and that it is one of my faves for sure. And now I'm going to try to fit in a few stamps from the issue 21 stamp set. And while I'm not super excited about how the stamping turned out, it's all good. Stamping has helped me with my imperfections in my crafting. I avoided stamping for a really long time because they felt imperfect to me and I messed up quite a bit. And that would kind of drive me nuts, seeing that there were so many girls that could just fluidly stamp perfectly. And like, it was just so easy for them. And I realized after time how much practice it really takes. And that you kind of just have to be okay with the little imperfections that stamping has. And it's just, it has character, and I've learned to really love that. So that's kind of where we're at with my stamping journey. And now, of course, I love it and I stamp everywhere on everything every single time. So. And I needed a little bit more on the right hand page. And so I did a couple extra of those little sparkles, which are just my fave. I love them so much. And now we're going to stamp the date. And I usually don't hold myself to stamping the date on the actual date area of these pages because it's a notebook. It has a spot for the date, but it just happened to have that free space right there, and it just made sense. I will purposely cover it up like I did on the right hand side with the hearts and the label. But that is where we are. Okay, so now I've decided I want to use this wood grain card with a little label on it. And I want to do some layering at the bottom of this page because I did it on purpose. I took this photo like this on purpose with a lot of negative space. And it's not working out. I feel like it's just too much. It's not really what I want it to be. I'm working on it. I'm trying all kinds of things. And I'm kind of struggling. But you get to see a little bit of that struggle because while I really want to use these things, and these things would be great elsewhere, it's just, I feel like it's not doing anything for this photo. It just really isn't. But I'm still trying. I'm still trying to put some things in there that are not super contrasty. I'm just trying to add some texture like the top of the white glassine bag. So I'm just trying out a few different options here. I'm thinking, can I throw some hearts inside of this little pocket? Like I'm trying to do too much. That's what I'm doing. I'm trying and it's not working. I feel like it's too cluttered up top and it really just needs something simple. And I originally was just going to do like a stamped title, but really wanted to bring some of that wood color in. But, just wasn't working. So at this point, I'm just going to start over because I feel like it just needs to be more simple so that it has a little bit of something down there, but it's not just super cluttered. So I'm going to do a simple stamp on this little label. And I'm going to put that buffalo plaid heart and staple it down. And I'm going to make it lower on the page too. Because I think what I was doing before was creeping up too high and it was just competing. And then we're just going to slice it off at the bottom. And it doesn't feel like it's competing anymore and feels good. It feels nice and balanced. And then I can just adhere it right here to this page so that when you open it up, to this page, you start to see that it's decorating time. There we are. There we have it. My very first process video of my 25 December faves for 2021. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you soon. See you later.